Well, welcome back. Welcome back. My name is Razak Musbao, and this is Prime Morning's News Flash segment. And we're going to get straight into the discussion now. But we'd love to hear from you. What have you made of the removal of the Chief Justice by the President? What have you made of it? Share your comments with us. Leave your comments on Facebook, and also you can, post at us on X. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's get interactive. Well, who do you think is going to win the Akwatia by-election? All of that is on the table today, so be part of the conversation. In studio with me is Dr. Osai Kwapon, is a political analyst and a fellow member of CDD. Doc, good morning. Good to have you. We also have in the studio at this point Manasseh Atta Wahine, is a member of MPP communication team. Manasseh, good to have you. Really good to have you. And also have Kwame Nkrumah Botio. He is the General Secretary of the CPP. Good to have you. Really appreciate to have you here. And also being joined by Abdul Aziz Mohammed, who is the acting deputy CEO of the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, GIFEC. Good morning, sir. Good to have you. Really appreciate your presence here. We'll also be joined by Dr. Rashid Dramani very shortly on the show. Well, let's get into it now. Of course, you heard us go through what happened to the Chief Justice, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Aziz, on the development from the Jubilee House. Were you surprised as far as what happened to the Chief Justice is concerned?
Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleague, panelists here. Good morning to our cherished viewers. I really wasn't surprised about the removal of the Chief Justice former, because the facts right from the onset were very clear. But as a government, what we're committed to was the due process, was to ensure that we carry the process through the constitutional provisions. And so for us, we were not too surprised looking at the facts of the case. And our colleagues on the other side have cried foul a couple of times, and yet have been unable to point to a clear breach of procedure. And so we are not surprised about it. We think that.
But there is concern about precedents, the kind of precedents you're setting now with the removal of the Chief Justice. They say ordinarily this should be a very difficult exercise to be carried out. And you set a precedent that they are even saying they might follow suit when they return to power.
You see, what we need to bear in mind is the fact that the Chief Justice, or the office of the Chief Justice, is just one of the offices that is constitutionally insulated against interference.
Yeah.
For instance, the office of the EC chairperson is constitutionally insulated from interference, right? There are a couple of offices that come under the Article 146 in terms of removal.
Yeah.
You are aware that under President Akufo-Addo, an EC chair and her deputy were removed using the Article 146. You are also aware that even under President Mahama I, the Commissioner for Human Rights, if I'm right, was removed. Even under President Akufo-Addo again, just last year or so, some petitions were brought against the same CJ. And so, there's nothing new about it. It's just a matter of going through the constitutional due process. That is very, very important. In fact, the Constitution contemplated and made provision for the removal of the Chief Justice. If that was wrong, if that is an area that the Constitution didn't want us to even contemplate about, the Constitution would not have provided for it. The Constitution would provide for what it contemplates. And so, to me, the most important thing is whether we followed the due process.
But don't you think maybe the reason why some have expressed reservations with this decision by the President, largely also because of some comments that have been made by some political actors in the NDC relating to this? Even before the process was concluded, there were those who were clear in their mind. Even during the campaign, there were comments by some elements in the NDC that seems to suggest that they needed to get the woman out.
You may want to refresh my memory, but I cannot remember any statement from any authorized person in the NDC to the effect that we're going to remove the CJ if we're elected into government. Yes, we had our own difficulties with her, but the fact remains that legitimate Ghanaians petitioned the president, and the president took the petition through the due process. And so, unless, of course, you can point to any responsible, I mean, just don't take the words of either a serial caller or a party communicator as a basis for such allegations. But if you can point to perhaps
you are satisfied that due process was followed?
The then flag bearer or the then running mate or any leading party member, if you can point to a statement that was very categorical, that if we want power, we're going to remove the Chief Justice, then I would want to pay attention to...
I mean, the president, the flag bearer, John Mahama, at a point when he met some lawyers,
yes.
He did indicate that,
yes.
Gave an indication that there were going to be some changes in the judiciary. He pushed for that. And, I mean, for an independent institution...
Well, like I said, if you can't help me with any specific remark by the then flag bearer of the NDC to the effect that there was going to be a massive changes in the judiciary. What we promised Ghanaians was a reset. And that reset we promised was going to cut across all facets of our national life. And that is what we are doing. You see, the fact of the matter is this. Why suddenly, under President Akufo-Addo, there was nothing wrong with the removal of a constitutionally insulated officer, the EC chair. In fact, if you ask me, I will tell you that the office of the EC chair is more sensitive than that of the Chief Justice, because a common mistake by the EC chair can throw this country into flames. If you were given a bad ruling by a court, you can go for a review. A slip or an intentional mistake by an EC chair would not have the opportunity of a review. And so for me, there's nothing new about this. I hear some of our opponents claim that they threaten that when they get power, they are going to do the same. They have liberty to do that if they think that is right for this country. We would not stop them. We would only ensure that any attempt to remove a future Chief Justice must go through the due process. If that's what they want to promise Ghanaians, fair enough. I don't know why they have turned themselves.
All right, let me bring in the CPP in now, because I'm not sure what the position of the CPP is on this. And I'll come back to you, Mr. Aziz,
that's okay.
Especially on that comment that was made by the president, where he was critiquing the judiciary perceived bias and the seeming loss of confidence. It was in August thereabout. And I'll give you that exact quotes because I have it here now. But what's the position of the CPP in all of this?
We already stated our position about maybe about 4 months ago, on the 7th of May 2025, together with the GCPP and PNC and APC and the GFP, under the umbrella of the Third Force Alliance. And this is what we stated, that on the 7th of May 2025, that the invocation of Article 146 must not be about the personality of President John Dramani Mahama or that of Chief Justice Tokono. So we were calling for the issue to be dealt with based on the law and not on personalities. Whether we were calling for a non-politicization of the issue. It should not be about whether this person is liked or not liked. Because as a legal practitioner myself, I have worked closely with the former Chief Justice. In fact, when we were in law school, we were encouraged to sit in certain courts. And two of the courts that were encouraged to sit in, because of the scholarship of those courts, was Commercial Court C, under his Lordship Justice Tanko, who sits at the Supreme Court, and her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokono, who was also sitting at the same Commercial Court. So we were looking at it as, do not look at
the individuals.
The individuals. Look at the law.
The law.
Because if you are
based on how the law has been used in this process, are you satisfied with it? That due process indeed was followed in all of it?
Another interesting twist is those Supreme Court judges on the committee, that is His Lordship Justice Poman and His Lordship Justice Sedu are also judges of high repute.
Yeah.
I am yet to take a close look, or the CPP, we are yet to, because it's news that broke just yesterday.
Yeah.
We are yet to bring out our view on it. But knowing the caliber of judges on the committee, I don't think we have a reason to fault their findings.
All right,
but we also want to add that these findings are not about the person of Justice Tokono herself, because having worked closely with her, I know that she's not somebody who may deliberately have carried out certain acts, but we all make mistakes along the way.
All right, great. Let me just acknowledge Dr. Osai Kwapon. He is a political analyst and also a fellow with CDD. Doc, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate your time. I just want to hear your quick thoughts on it. Then I'll come to Manasseh, because it does appear that he has quite a lot to say on this very issue. Doc, let me just get your thoughts. I mean, the CDD and its affiliates. I mean, tell me, what have you made of this development from the Jubilee House?
Good morning to you. Good morning to your the other panelists. Good morning to your guests as well. I think, as you rightly mentioned, it is a very recent development. The news just broke. So as an institution, other CSOs, I believe, are yet to make an official statement in response to that. But speaking in my own individual capacity, for me, it is a decision that, in reflecting upon it, that we must look at it as what it means for our democracy. Because again, it is no easy decision to remove the highest judicial officer from one of our independent branches of government, right? To impose the highest sanction of office, which is removal. And for me, it is a moment for deep reflection about our democracy. And for me, especially Article 146, the process and all of that. If you are going to remove a Chief Justice from office, I believe that there are a few things that our constitution around 146, can clarify, tighten all of that. I personally did send a memo to the Constitutional Review Committee just to take a look at 146 again, its process, how you can make it, move it in such a way that it can even have a lot more public component to it. Because as I have always maintained...
Doc, I think one of the concerns also about that very provision is the fact that it did not properly explain what stated misbehavior is and has left it to the opinion of the committee. And some are now calling for the Constitutional Review Committee to probably spend a bit more time on that area. What constitutes stated misbehavior? You do agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that, because I recall years ago when the U.S. President Bill Clinton was being impeached, and someone was asked, what do you mean by other high crimes and misdemeanors? And the lawyer gave this chicken tongue comment and said, well, it is what a majority of the House of Representatives agree it is. But I think the point that lawyer was trying to make, and that principle I believe is applicable here, is that stated misbehavior can be broadly construed or can be narrowly construed. And so I agree with that sentiment that perhaps some clarification of what constitutes stated misbehavior, so that it doesn't become a matter of subjective interpretation, is one of the areas that can be tightened, so that at least we have a clear sense of some of the exact kinds of things that if you wanted to impose the highest sanctions of office against a Chief Justice, that it wouldn't be subjected to this sort of, well, does it rise to that threshold or does it not rise to that threshold?
All right.
But having said all of that, I think the process as also designed by 146, at least try to put in certain, guarantees in such a way that it would not end up a process that, quote unquote, either gets abused, right? Like you insulate it from such an unfortunate happening. So the role of the committee, the role of the Council of State, I believe the right to representation, being heard, all of that, I think are some of the safeguards that the framers of the Constitution at least try to build into the process to insulate it from any kind of political mischief.
All right, Doc, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you on a few other issues relating to the future of the Chief Justice. She's worked 21 years on the bench, and based on the letter of the law, it seems to suggest that, following her removal, she might be denied all the benefit that she ordinarily would have gotten for her 21 years of service on the bench. And not too sure what your thoughts is on that, whether indeed we should deny her of all of that because of this very conduct. But we'll get your thoughts on that. But let me come to you, Manasseh, now. And the MPP, we follow the commentaries even when the process started. You were clearly unhappy about this whole process, and I'm sure that sentiment hasn't changed.
Razak, a very good morning to you, good morning to our panelists, and a blessed morning to our cherished viewers. You see, this is the first time ever in the history of our country that a president, the head of the executive, has frivolously removed a Chief Justice from office. And we should be mindful and guided by the precedent we are setting. A very, very dangerous precedent.
Why do you say it's frivolous?
It is. You see, let's go back to 2022 August. 2022 August, when the president met the NDC lawyers, at Ada. He made some clear statements, okay? And I'm reading from Ghana News Online. He expressed concerns about his supposed, erosion of trust in the judiciary. And he went ahead to say, and I quote, unfortunately, we have no hope that the current leadership of our judiciary can lead such a process of change. We can only hope that the new Chief Justice will lead the process to repair the broken image that our judiciary has acquired over the last few years. Clearly admitted in this statement is that he was sounding caution that they don't have trust in the judiciary. And that was what we all heard, even when they were in opposition. And so this is clearly rehearsed. This is a slap in the face of our democracy.
But we're going to, let me just, get your thoughts on this one. Because there's the fundamental point here is that the due process has been followed. The president received the petition, sent it to the Council of States. They gave their opinion, established prima facie case. Then suspension of the Chief Justice took place, was sent to the committee. Committee looked into it, and the president, bound by the recommendation of the committee, has acted upon it. But you make a point about what the president said in August 2022 at a conference in the Volta region.
Absolutely.
And of course, I've seen that going round, and I was going to make reference to that to Mr. Aziz. But then I also cross-checked, and I realized that at the time the President TV made this very statement, Chief Justice Tokono was not the Chief Justice at the time. She was appointed in April of 2023, approved by Parliament sometime in September.
I think she was appointed in June.
I just look at the details here.
And June 20.
Yeah,
we have
Tokono
followed.
was nominated to lead the Supreme Court's bench in April 2023 and was officially approved by Parliament in June, as you mentioned.
Razak, don't forget that in the erstwhile MPP administration, we all saw countless the number of times the NDC lost court cases. And they have been raising allegations on these issues for quite a long time. I am saying firmly that the NDC has succeeded in destroying the very fiber of our democracy. And this is an attack on our judicial independence.
But they say,
but critical amongst them is the fact that they have set a very dangerous and a bad precedent, okay, indicating to everyone that from today, the office of the Chief Justice has become coterminous to that of the ruling government.
But then
and so when the tenure of an administration or a government is over, whoever is Chief Justice should also know that he also could be, sacked based on flimsy petitions. And this is a very dangerous precedent we are setting.
The Chief Justice. Now, let me just ask.
Let me make my point.
Is not above the law. If there's a clear policy, for instance, in the case of the traveling, the traveling policy, there's a clear policy on that. When you're traveling, it's clear. I just want to make this point. There's a clear policy on that. The husband took money that he was not supposed to take. The daughter took money that was not supposed to take. All right? That is a clear contravention of the policy. And the Chief Justice, who is not above the law, and in fact, one who must uphold the law, we cannot say that when it comes to her, that we should shelve the law because she's the Chief Justice.
Razak, I've never said that a Chief Justice is above the law. I never made
but
that
she's
statement.
done, she's misconducted herself.
I never made that statement. The point I am making is that it is important for the judiciary to be very independent. And so if you have a political party that have been trumpeting, their biases, and don't forget that this is the same political party that were calling the judiciary unanimous FC amongst others, calling them names, casting insinuations and innuendos on them. So the NDC is well noted for this. And what I am saying very simply is that they have succeeded in doing this, but they are destroying the fiber of our democracy. And this will permeate into every aspect of our lives. Very, very dangerous.
But they say this
and so will they be happy when they leave office tomorrow and any ordinary person sends a petition, to the president? Okay? And following from that Chief Justice gets sacked. We are attacking the judicial independence, and this is what every Ghanaian should be concerned about.
But the point
is
it. The point is that the petitions were not sent by the NDC. We have the names of people.
Never said that. I never.
But you say,
Razak, I think you need to choose. You need to choose the way.
I'm asking a question.
Get back to me on your questions because you seem
I'm asking a question. Just relax. When I say for me, the point I'm making is that yes, I do appreciate the concern you make about the comment the NDC have made about certain outcomes of the decision, where we even had unanimous FC and all of that. That is a very fair point. But then, first of all, you look at the petitioners, Daniel Ofori, Shining Stars, even those cases were not looked into. But Daniel Ofori, for instance, it is not established that he's a member of the NDC. Then you look at the entire process that the petition went through, from presented to the president, sent to the Council of State, sent to the committee who looked into it. And the question a lot of people are asking is that, which parts of this process do you feel that the NDC or the government influenced, for which reason you are convinced that this was a job that was done to serve the interests of the NDC as a political party?
I am not concerned about some frivolous petitions that some individuals would level against a Chief Justice. And I never said Razak is an NDC member. What I am saying is that this is a clear attack on the independence of the judiciary. And all of us should be concerned that a dangerous precedent has been set. And when we do this, we undermine the very democracy our forefathers fought so hard, to enable us have peace. Ghana has been touted as so peaceful, and we all pride ourselves in this. And so when we have a situation where one arm of government, wants to annex the other arm of government, that is very dangerous. And that is my concern. So yes, I am not surprised they have done this, because back in opposition, they were trumpeting this and they've done it. But my worry is that how would the future look? How would the future look? Already we have seen the NDC sacking a lot of government workers, civil servants. Very troubling, as if they are not Ghanaians. As if they are not Ghanaians. And now they do this. You go to various state institutions, some of whom have worked even 2 years, some are directors, amongst others. NDC comes and they are sacked, as if they are not Ghanaians. For me, if you want to sack individuals who are employed, in the aftermath of the elections, that could be fair. But for you to even sack someone who had been working in an institution, a government institution, a year before the election, 2 years, amongst others, this is so unheard of.
What do you think the best punishment
it is the same line they are towing. Now they've
With the removal of the
they've moved to the Chief Justice. I am very sure that before the end of the year, it is very likely that they are going to move to the EC, the EC chair and the leadership of the EC, and they'll be moving one by one.
When you look at
they are setting, Razak, they are setting a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, you made that point. But when you look at the issues that have been raised against the Chief Justice, when you look at the issues that have been raised against the Chief Justice, if not removal, what do you think the punishment should have been?
Razak, I'm not interested in any issues that have been raised against the Chief Justice. Because from the very onset, even in opposition, they were saying these things. Everybody, even me, I can write a petition, based on some, whether true or untrue, knowledge I have about even the Chief Justice. That may be true, that may not be true. Okay? So I am not interested. I am worried about how we are destroying our democracy. Today, they are happy because they are the ones doing it. Tomorrow, they will cry foul. When they were in power, before 2016, and when they were winning court cases, they were happy. They were singing the praises of the judiciary. When they went into opposition, they were crying for every court. In fact, when MPP, went to court due to the election petition, and we lost, the then candidate Akufo-Addo was very clear that everything within his bone and marrow, his upbringing, is very much against the ruling. But for the peace and continuity of governance, he agrees. When they lost, we saw what happened. What happened? Okay, so that is my worry.
All right.
And they have set the precedent. I am not surprised they said it. They've done it. I am confident that they are going to move to other institutional heads. But it is a very dangerous precedent they are setting. And tomorrow, when they are at the other side of the receiving end, they shouldn't cry foul.
All right, great. We are going to touch base with my colleagues in Akwatia at this point to, get up to speed on what's the development at the moment, because I think it's part 7 now. I'm sure the polls probably have opened at this point, and people are queuing and have started voting. I'm sure the conversation on the Chief Justice is going to go on and on and on until I'll come back to you. I'm sure you have some thoughts on that. I'll come back to you. But I'm just getting a signal that I have my colleagues on ground. And guys, if they are ready, can we just get the update at this point? All right, we'll get that update very shortly. But let me come to you, Mr. Aziz. What's your reaction?
You see, sometimes our colleagues in the MPP would behave to suggest that they are first-class citizens of this republic, and any other person who doesn't belong to your party is a second-class citizen. When in 2018, some faceless people petitioned against the removal of the then EC chair, people that we didn't know and still don't know, they didn't see that one to be frivolous. When the petition was unsigned, the petition that was submitted to President Akufo-Addo for the removal of the EC chair then was unsigned. And yet, President Akufo-Addo proceeded. In fact, even at the time that the committee was put in place, one of the petitioners had died. That wasn't frivolous. What is this threat about what happens tomorrow? Tomorrow will take care of itself.
You're not concerned that that they are...
Look, if President Akufo-Addo could remove an EC chair that they defended, that they saw nothing wrong with, suddenly, today, I've seen everything wrong with the removal of the Chief Justice. And what is this about attack on the judiciary? This is a script. This is what they have told their communicators to go and emotionally blackmail all of us to believe that this is an attack on the judiciary. This is not an attack on the judiciary. In fact, if this is an attack on the judiciary, what happened to Charlotte Osei would have been an attack on our democracy.
But is it an equalization then?
No, but
because
see,
you keep making
no,
it
is because people who saw nothing wrong with what happened yesterday suddenly sees everything wrong with what is happening today. What double standard is this in this country? I've given you an example that those who petition against a removal, Charlotte Osei, we didn't know them and we still don't know them. The petition was unsigned. They didn't see anything wrong with that. In fact, at the time that the committee was put in place, one of the petitioners were told had died. And yet, President Akufo-Addo proceeded. Our colleagues in the MPP saw nothing wrong with that. Why do they want to place themselves as some superior class of Ghanaians? And that what they do? Please.
Yeah, but don't you think
that what they do is right, and what we do is wrong.
Yeah, just a follow-up to that. Don't you think the backlash...
Let me tell you.
Just a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
Don't you think the backlash the government is getting for...
There's no backlash here. There's no backlash.
Right, fair enough, but...
There's no backlash.
All right. Well, don't you think that the reaction from some section of the Ghanaian public...
From the MPP...
Great. To this very decision by the president is also because of the posture of some members of your party and your government in the past, especially in relation to decisions that have come from the Supreme Court, where you have tagged them, unanimous FC, and several post-trade. Don't you think that has contributed?
I totally disagree with you. There is nothing wrong with critiquing the ruling of a court. In fact, our judicial system, our legal system in Ghana, allows for an appeal when a court makes a ruling. That in itself is a critique of the ruling. There's nothing wrong with critiquing a ruling or a judge. There's nothing wrong about it. And so if we in the NDC in the past critique her, it doesn't mean that we didn't like her. We're looking at the rulings that she delivered. In any case, why? They are talking about threatening us about what happened tomorrow. If that is the way you want to engage the Ghanaian public, go ahead with it and see what the results will be. In any case, in 2015, the then Commissioner for Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madam Lamte, was removed by President Mahama, another constitutional insulated office in this country. Her tenure of office is guaranteed by the Constitution. Do you know who were the petitioners under President Mahama in 2015? Anna Dompre, who was a sitting MP and still a sitting MP. My own friend Richard, a senior member of the MPP, they petitioned President Mahama in 2015, accusing the then Commissioner on Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice for spending 182 Ghana cedis to renovate her residence. She was taken through the due process and was dismissed. The MPP hailed President Mahama and the NDC then. Today, because it is happening to somebody who you see as part of you, somebody who you think that you appointed her because she's untouchable, come on. What makes you superior Ghanaians to widows in the NDC?
All right, great.
We have no regret for what happened. We think that we took her through the due process. She is gone. If in future the MPP ever comes to power, maybe in some 16, 30 years to come, and you want to sack whoever is the Chief Justice then, you'll be confronted with the law to go through the due process that we have gone through.
I'm going to come to you very shortly, but I just want to hear from Dr. Osai, Dr. Kwapon also on this post-chain of the MPP and NDC on this matter. NDC are clear that they follow the due process. Then you talk about MPP who are giving us hints that in future they might take revenge on whoever is the Chief Justice at the time. Doc, should we be concerned that our political actors are making some of these comments? Isn't this going to jeopardize our democracy? And that same question, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Doc.
So if you study the Afrobarometer survey very closely, and how questions around perceptions of corruption in institutions, trust in institutions has been answered, disaggregated by party affiliation. I always say that our lack of trust in institutions is also exacerbated by our partisan attachments. So you would see a certain pattern in the Afrobarometer survey. You would see that when a Ghanaian, whatever party he or she says they feel close to is in power, their trust in a given institution is higher than when the party they say they feel close to is in opposition. And I've been asking myself, what is it about our institutions that partisans seem to have a little more trust in them when they are in power versus when they are in opposition? And that, for me, is also one of the things that we have to start confronting and asking ourselves, how do we get to that place of reconciliation where, regardless of one's party affiliation or partisan sentiments, right, that you can look at these institutions dispassionately and say, okay, I took a case to the court, I lost, and whilst I may disagree with the outcome, I still accept it, right? Instead of reading other kinds of meanings to it. Now, I don't know how we get there, but it is really one of the issues that is confronting our institutions. And therefore, I'm not surprised, right? Even if you go back and you look at the Charlotte Osei case, you could see those clear partisan divisions over whether the action was right or not. And you're seeing the same thing over here. The last thing I would add to this is independent does not also mean unaccountable. And when the framers of our Constitution designed these independent constitutional bodies, for me, the fact that they also put in place processes where you can rightly impose certain sanctions on them was a way of saying to us that there are two things at stake for these institutions. One, independent, but independent does not also mean unaccountable, and that there has to be some mechanisms through which we can hold them accountable, even as we guarantee and design them as independent institutions.
All right, Doc, we're going to hear your thoughts on the Akwatia by-elections very shortly so that we can have a very peaceful exercise. But let me come to you also on this very subject.
Yes, Rosa.
Yeah.
You know...
And just to mention that, if you could see on your screens, my colleague Samuel Kojo is on grounds, and we'll be getting to him very shortly for what is unfolding in Akwatia at this very point. It is a massive elections where a number of ministers of state are in Akwatia at this point, and pretty much all of MPP's national executives and top leadership are in Akwatia. So it's a big battle for both political parties. We'll get into it, yeah.
I side with what my party said on the 7th of May, 2025, that as long as due process is followed, we are okay with it. And we must know that the same law that others claim can be used or can be abused, that same law gives you avenues for redress. In judicial parlance, we have what we call perception of bias, and we also have actual bias. You can actually take on a judgment or a judge because you feel that the way something he said in court or the way he delivered a judgment shows that he has something against you. And with that, you can have the judge removed from the case or even the judgment overturned. So it is not new. What the NDC and MPP are saying, I understand them.
Are you not concerned that the MPP are saying that, well,
I am concerned, but I do not think any of the parties is strong enough to influence our judiciary to the extent that we feel they can be influenced. On the 19th of September 2025, 10 years ago, I was in Ghana in the Eyes of God, my brother Anas's movie, and I stated there that our judiciary is so strong. There may be instances where certain things may go unseen and toward, but in my years of practice, I see that it is such that even when you feel you have been treated unfairly, in the end, if you have a good case, you prevail. You will always prevail. So I don't think Ghanaians have anything to fear aside that these statements may inflame tensions in the public. However, these statements cannot influence the judiciary as I see it. Our judiciary is airtight. There may be loopholes here and there, but at the end of the day, no individual is powerful enough no political party is powerful enough to influence it in the way that we see. Indeed, both parties seem strong enough to have done certain things. But know that all the presidents acted upon the advice of the Council of State, upon the advice of committees. They did not act on their own. And I'm glad we spoke to Dr. Osei from CDD. And I know there are one or two CDD individuals on the Constitutional Review Committee.
Yeah.
You know, the 1992 Constitution, it gives the executive too much power, and understandably so, when we're transitioning from a military government to a civilian government, the transition had to be in such a way that I would say that the military, in some of the acts that they took, that they feel were justified, they had to be insulated a bit. So there's a bit too much power. But I'm sure the Constitutional Review Committee will look at all these appointing powers, because if NPP feels the NDC appointed this particular person, it's only natural that they may feel that person is not acting in their interest, and vice versa. But knowing some of these individuals personally, even the former Chief Justice, I do not think that any decision she took was necessarily political. It is unfortunate that she has been caught in this issue. But, I mean, back to your question, I don't think anybody or any political party is strong enough to be playing ping-pong with our judiciary.
Let me just get your final bite on this so we can get into Akwatia now. And,
you see
how ready your party is to win the seat.
Yes, very painfully, the NDC is well known for attacking the judiciary. And the posturing of the NDC is very staggering. You see, when they were in office, 2014, 2015, 2016, they were very vehement in saying that the opposition, which was NPP back then, should desist from attacking the EC, the judiciary, amongst others. I agree with him, absolutely, that there is nothing wrong in critiquing the ruling of a court, even the Supreme Court. I absolutely agree. But it is unacceptable for you to be calling them names. It is unacceptable for any political party to be using derogatory words like unanimous FC against the Supreme Court, and to even have a premeditated, idea that because they've not ruled in our favor for a long while, this is our plan, and that's when we come into office, we will ensure that we do some changes over there. And I am saying that, yes, this is what they have done. It will blast in their own faces, and tomorrow when the tables turn, they shouldn't cry foul. And you see, if you have someone from the ruling government, after a critical concern has been raised about whether the judiciary is really independent or not, and all he can say, is that tomorrow take care of itself.
But because
he said it, and I wrote, tomorrow will take care of itself.
Because you said that.
Don't care about.
You mentioned that.
Is this some kind of display of arrogance of power?
No, but because you said that if this has happened now,
it is worrying.
No, but because you indicated that if this has happened today, when NPP returns to power, you will do same.
I'm saying they have set
when you return.
A dangerous
and he said, well, then tomorrow we'll take care of it.
So tomorrow, if the NPP comes and a Chief Justice, you see, it doesn't really matter whether the Chief Justice was appointed by MPP or NDC. When President Akufo-Addo came, he worked with Chief Justice, amongst others, heads of critical institutions that were appointed by previous administrations. That has been the trajectory. So I am saying that going from the trend and the dangerous precedents they have set, tomorrow, when MPP comes into power and same is done to a Chief Justice, will they be happy? And it is on that basis that I'm saying that when the time comes, they shouldn't cry foul, because Ghanaians would have known them for their sentence, like they are doing in government. Everything is sentence. Throwing more dollars into the economy so that we will see some stability, just to show that, hey, we've done it. Everything is sentence. But they should be more serious about governance. They should be more serious in protecting our democracy. They should be more serious in ensuring that they don't make other arms of government their next. Unfortunately, they've succeeded in doing the same. I'm afraid that maybe, just maybe, after having conquered the judiciary, maybe, very strongly, they might even try to capture parliament as well. Even though they have the... you are not getting me. Even though they have the numbers... Please excuse me. Even though they have the numbers, they have the numbers in parliament. That doesn't mean that parliament is not a master on its own. Okay? So parliament, of course, just like the judiciary, should be allowed to
And you're also fearing that they might remove the EC chairperson?
No, we'll take the.
Oh, as for that,
we'll take the speaker out.
It's almost a given.
I think he thinks that we'll sack the speaker.
You think they might sack the EC
the speaker?
They may, very clearly. I am very confident.
He's talking about parliament.
I am very confident.
Parliament.
Will you please excuse us?
No, he's talking about parliament.
Respectfully.
You must be in tandem.
Respectfully.
He's talking about parliament.
No, respectfully. When you
all right, guys. You know what? I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I am not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
From our colleagues in Akwatia this morning. Mr. Aziz, I mean, you have a battalion of people in Akwatia at this point to try and snatch the seat from the MPP. And not sure why the CPP did not contest in this election. It was an opportunity for you to do same. And Manasseh, your party says you are ready to take back your seat. Kojo Braze is on the ground alongside my colleague, Blessed Soga. Let's hear from them on what's been unfolding at this point, and I'll come to you guys on what you think about the elections.
The aisle, minority, majority side, giving you an indication clearly that it's going to be a very long day and there might be some surprise elements at the end of the day. But we also just need to point out that we're on the Joy Prime channel as well, because our colleagues there are also piping the live visuals for us. So wherever you're watching us from, we're glad that you're doing that. Stay with us on your election headquarters, and we'll be bringing you all the live pictures as and when we have them. I just saw the IGP pass by some few minutes ago, so he's up to the task. He knows what's at stake. We're waiting to see what the outcome will be, but you know, a lot of political parties, rank and file of the parties are here, and we wait to see what the outcome will be, Brace.
I mean, yesterday we spoke to the IGP when he was giving a final briefing to his men, and one thing he said that really got to me was, we are here to ensure nobody misbehaves. And the instruction to his men were, make sure you tame anybody who will misbehave. And the sort of artillery they showed gave you that confidence that, look, this election, the police is on top of its game.
They are not taking chances at all, you can tell. And I don't know what's bringing that high stakes for the political parties. I think we need to ask them some more why they are so interested in the Akwatia seat. But probably it's because of the contention even around the last elections within the constituency. Because mind you, the NDC was claiming that they were the ones who actually won this constituency. So probably a test of their popularity in the area, just to be sure and to see whether or not indeed if the people of Akwatia will give them that nod. But the MPP says, look, it's our zone. We were, of course, running the show here until the unfortunate demise of the MP. So they are going to be slugging it out. You've seen the MPs. We've spoken to a number of them. Coming all the way from Tema West to this place tells you that they are in for the game. We've seen some, leading figures of the NDC also arrive this morning.
I saw Comfort do you.
Indeed. So that tells you that leadership of the NDC is also here and they are on board. We'll be speaking to more of them shortly.
All right, so do stay with us. This is your election headquarters, and we promise that whatever happens here in this particular election, we'll bring that to you here for you. So, MFA, over to you in the studio.
We're coming back. All right. So we're still here on Prime Morning News Flash, and you just heard from my colleagues Samuel Kojo Braze and Blessed Soga, and you can see the visuals at the Coalition Center. We're going to be at all the polling stations, of course, bring you every update, everything that happens there. We will bring you all here on Joy Prime. It's going to be a long day as far as coverage of the Akwatia by-election is concerned. Who is it going to be? Is it the lawyer representing the parliament candidate for the NDC or Solomon Asumedi for the NPP? We've been hearing from some residents. Hopefully we'll try and hear from them again, who have been speaking to my colleague Nana Bwachi-Adam on what they think on who is going to win the elections. But let me just start with Doc on Zoom. Doc, you have followed the lead up to this election. You've seen the comments from both political parties. You've seen what the police have put in place to try and ensure there is law and order. Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied, especially with what the police have put in place for this election?
Yes, if we go back to what we saw in Ablekuma North, some of the unfortunate incidents when they had to re-vote in just a handful of polling stations, I think the concerns that were raised by Ghanaians, I believe the security forces, especially the police, took notice of that and therefore have put in place the kind of security measures that would forestall any repeat of any of those unfortunate incidents. I mean, every election we see these pockets of electoral violence here and there, and we keep describing it as pockets of violence. I keep hoping that we don't get to a point where we normalize these things as part of our election processes, because when that happens, for me, I believe it undermines the integrity of our elections.
But
so
Doc, just this point, just a follow up on that one. I mean, yesterday the National Peace Council, called the political parties to come for a meeting, and interestingly, the NPP's Deputy General Secretary Abdul Aziz Mohammed, we understand, went for the meeting, but the NDC top executive were not there. We understand some constituency executives were present, and the NPP were unwilling to be in the meeting if they were going to be having a meeting with constituency executives of the NDC. And so that meeting could not happen. And, the commitment that the National Peace Council was hoping these parties will make, as far as peace is concerned, they could not get them to do it. Should that raise any eyebrows about the posture of these parties in this by-election?
It's concerning, I agree, but ultimately, law enforcement has that responsibility to ensure, peace and law and order at our polling stations during elections. And so for me, as I look at the preparations that the police is making and the deployment, the size of the force of deployment, for example, should give us some comfort that law enforcement would ensure that there aren't any untoward behaviors by those who are contesting and their supporters in this Akwatia by-election. Because again, we can't keep having these incidences and keep calling them pockets of violence, because if they remain unchecked, a time is going to come where we are going to normalize it as part of the electoral process. And that for me would not bode well, not just for the integrity of our electoral system, but even for the overall architecture of our democracy. So I'm hoping and trusting that law enforcement, without fear or favor, would impartially enforce the law. But I also believe that sometimes some of these things are also a reflection of our political temperaments. And so I also hope that regardless of how excited, how enthused we are, as we are campaigning and getting our people out to vote, that we would also be able to control those political temperaments, that even if you see something untoward, that is why there is the presence of the police help you enforce the laws. I think it goes two ways.
All right, Doc. Yeah. All right, Doc. Really appreciate your time this morning. Hopefully, we'll get back to you, in the course of the day on this very election. I'm sure we'll be in touch with you often, and hopefully, we'll be able to have you when we call upon you. Really appreciate your time this morning. Manasseh, let me just start with you on the Akwatia by-elections. Your party, yesterday, was speaking to your Deputy General Secretary, and he says that they were going to build a firewall, Mr. Aziz. He said they were going to build a firewall around them. Operation Firewall, and we were asking him what is the need for a firewall. He was raising concerns about some things the NDC have put in place, etc. I mean, first of all, is Mr. Solomon, are you confident Mr. Solomon has done what he needs to do to win this election?
Absolutely. I strongly believe that the very good people of Akwatia know Mr. Solomon Asumedu. They've been with him. He's a native of Akwatia, and they know what he also stands for. And today, we test the political integrity of the country. We have a strong litmus test, to see how resilient we are when it comes to elections. And so I am confident that following from the massive campaign we have done in Akwatia, we believe it's important for the good people of Akwatia to confidently go out, and vote for Solomon Asumedu, who would be able to continue the legacy, the good legacy of Ernest Yaokome.
I mean, your party still lost his life. Your party is still, not fully confident in the arrangement that the police have put in place. And yesterday, our engagement with your Deputy General Secretary pointed to that. And we are wondering, 5,500 police personnel, CCTV cameras. Some of the police personnel are even wearing body cameras. Instead, we showed you the update from the police. And still, you are not confident in the police. Why is that so?
The NPP is for free and fair elections, Razak. And so we are all for it. If the Ghana Police Service and our colleagues in the NDC would help us deepen our democracy, what the NPP would not accept is any form of intimidation, any form of, brute force whatsoever that would be, meted on us. We will not accept that. And so we are going to protect ourselves on the ground. That is for sure. And that's why we have raised concerns that, yes, we are happy that we have over 5,000 police personnel deployed. We've been very vociferous in maintaining that we expect the police to come out clean. No one should be masked. You should see their names, as has been the current mode of the addressing, amongst others, so that collectively we would be able to ensure that the peaceful environment we met Akwatia before this election will be same, even today, during the election and after the election, so that they will be able to go about their economic activities after having confidently elected, Solomon Asumedu. And so we pray for free election, pray for peace. I don't want any incidents. But however, our people on grounds too have taken some one of
and talking about grounds, we understand. We can hear from Afenyo Markin, who is on grounds right now.
Okay. You will deal with it at the right time. Don't worry.
Well, General Secretary, what's your impression of the process so far?
It's too early to comment, right? Let's do some few rounds, then we'll come back.
But what's your expectation and what message do you have for the people of Akwatia? Right.
So that's the General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Kudia, and the Minority Leader, Afenyo Markin, on grounds, and of course, touring some of the polling stations to just monitor things unfolding there. They have little to say at this point, but I'm sure we are going to hear from them often in the course of this exercise. We know they are not the only ones on grounds. The national organizer, Nana B, is also there. The national youth organizer is also there. So quite a number of national executives and even regional executives from other regions are also in Akwatia to help their candidates win this very, very, election and these seats. Well, the NDC have also got number of officials on ground. Ministers of State, Sam George is on grounds. Yesterday we heard from him very shortly, and a number of other MPs are also there. I'm sure probably the majority leader might find his way there. But let me just come back to you briefly. We're making a point, and I just wanted to get exactly what winning the seats will mean for the NPP, because at the end of the day, even if you win it, it's still 88. It's still, in the context of your strength in parliament, insignificant. So what does winning the seat mean for the NPP, really?
Razak, before that, let me speak directly to the good people of Akwatia and to impress on them to confidently go out, those who have the right to vote, that they should confidently go out. They shouldn't be intimidated by the presence of, police personnel, other macho men, amongst others. No intimidation. They should feel free. They should go out and they should, give the mandate to the NPP to continue the good legacy, of the MP who has unfortunately passed on. And I believe that the only way for the good people of Akwatia, to honor Ernest Akume is to repose that confidence and to vote massively, for our candidate, Solomon Asumedu, so that he will be able to continue.
Great. I just want to pick a few messages and I'll come to you and we'll get more into this Akwatia very development. But there have been a few messages on, especially matters relating to the CJ and the others. And okay, I'm starting with here. Now, this is Richie P from Tachiman. And Richie P is saying that I think this Mahama government is just a settings government. Nothing is happening in this country. Okay, let me just come further down here. Great. Is that Chief Justice Tokonu's removal, she put herself on this platform for such treatment. She allowed politics to cloud her judgment too much. Next time, she will be patriotic and honest in her work. from Ablade, Fiokuma Zongo in Takoradi. This one, Meshach, says that, indeed, the law is the law, quoted by Mami Gertrude Tokono. The long-awaited verdict has finally arrived, which has brought a lot of excitement to the majority of Ghanaians. There will be no political influences in the judicial system. The opportunity door has now opened for her to contest for any political position she prefers in NPP. It's also a caution to her successor to always consider the interests of the country first before personal interests, because what goes around comes around. Again, whether NPP like it or not, Akwatia will be green at the end of the election. Okay, well, let's see. Master Planner Junior says Akwatia constituent will vote for a candidate that will represent them well in Parliament. It is not about which candidate's party is in power or not. Some NDC MPs don't even get development in their constituency, even though their party is in power. Vote Honorable Solomon Asumedu, he says. And let me see. Richie P's message says, this Mahama government is just Setson's government. Nothing is happening in this country, and he is busy removing Chief Justice. I know the EC boss will soon follow. Interesting. Hamza says, good morning, my brother. The acts of hypocrisy and double standard must stop in this country. Madame Sholetose was removed from office by the same Article 146, and no one sees nothing wrong about that. My brother, the former Chief Justice, Madam Tokono, is not above the law of this land. We are all equal before the laws of the land. We should remember President Mahama swore an oath to defend and to protect the constitution of the land. And that is exactly what he has done. President Mahama only acted on recommendation presented to him by the 5-member committee. Indeed, the law is the law.